I'm Christy. Today I want to talk to you about ways to improve your mental health. Now, this week's topic is a touchy one that I'm hesitant to raise. And as a reminder, I am not a medical professional and I am not making any specific recommendations. These are my personal opinions. Consult your medical professional if you struggle with any of these issues. I did a quick Google search that resulted in 19 pages of results. No, I didn't look at all of them. But it also had 8 alternative searches. And I searched up something like caregiver mental health or something like that. While I'm glad to know that people are addressing this issue, I'm even more concerned about how widespread this is. My concern rises when I read this article from the Family Caregiving Alliance. The included references and statistics paint a very scary but significant picture of the impact caregiving can have on a person. Now, there's one caveat. It does refer to caregiving in general, not just those with special needs or disabilities. But I read statistics like, quote, an estimated 44 million Americans age 18 and older provide unpaid assistance and support to older people and adults with disabilities who live in the community, end quote. Or this one, a substantial body of research shows that family members who provide care to individuals with chronic or disabling conditions are themselves at risk. Now, as I've mentioned throughout this series, I struggled with overwhelm and depression for a number of years when the boys were younger. Caring for 2 young children, multiple weekly therapy sessions, along with other weekly appointments and obligations, a husband who worked long hours, little time for myself, poor eating habits, lack of sleep, and no exercise all played into my poor mental health. I've lost track of how many summers I considered successful if we were all alive and healthy at the end when school started again. That doesn't include trying to do anything fun or special during the summer. When I decided to change my behaviors, outlook, and choices, things began to change. Now, it took a lot of hard work and a number of years, but I chose to do it at a slow enough pace that I've made these lifestyle changes, not just, shall we call them, diet changes. As I was reading through a few of these articles, I discovered some recurring themes. First of all, this doesn't appear to include parents of young children with disabilities, from what I can tell. But the statistic that 44 million Americans are caregivers to family members was mentioned in 3 different articles, although one of them was slightly different. But that number still boggles my mind. 44 million Americans are caregivers. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America states that, quote, 40 to 70% of caregivers show symptoms of depression, with approximately a quarter to half of these caregivers meet the diagnostic criteria for major depression, end quote. The article also says, quote, being a caregiver can be physically and emotionally stressful. When taking care of a loved one, caregivers often put others' needs before their own. Caregivers often sacrifice a lot of time, energy, and their own physical and emotional needs, which could lead to stress, anxiety, and/or depression, end quote. The article includes a list of symptoms and signs for both depression and anxiety in caregivers. Now, caregiving in these situations often impacts a caregiver's personal health, including issues such as stress, frustration, physical aches and pains, high blood pressure, obesity. That list comes from goodtherapy.org. There's a link on the blog. You can find that at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in September of 2019. Now, another link from the Family Caregiving Alliance includes these health concerns: higher levels of depression, high levels of stress and frustration, greater potential for harmful behaviors, increased risk of heart disease, lower levels of self-care, and increased mortality rates. Now, please understand, I'm not trying to scare anyone, and I don't want to sound like an alarmist. However, I do know that taking care of a loved one with special needs takes a toll on the caregiver, even if they're not doing it by themselves. It's exhausting to be a parent. It's even more exhausting when your loved one continues to require your assistance well into adulthood. When there are increased medical needs, the exhaustion often rises significantly. My personal experience has also shown me that even small steps towards self-care can have huge benefits. A little time spent on rejuvenating activities allows you to come back and continue your caregiving responsibilities with greater enthusiasm, Okay, that might be pushing it a bit sometimes, but more energy and a better attitude as well. And as a result, everyone benefits. So, my question for you this week is this: have you struggled with any mental health issues? How have you addressed them? Do you care to share any of your stories or strategies that you use? I'm always open to new ideas. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. Once again, that's at havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in September of 2019. If you'd prefer not to share your ideas or your stories publicly, you could email me at Christy, CHRISTY, at havenofhopeforme.com. As always, I'd appreciate it if you'd share this with anybody you think would find it helpful. I'd love to help as many families as I can. Sign-up lists are available as usual, and signing up still notifies you of all newly released content. Encouraging you to consider increasing your self-care so that we can all say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.